Joining us now for an exclusive interview this morning is California Senator Diane Feinstein. She is chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee. Senator Feinstein, good morning to you.
Good morning, Maggie.
We just heard that airlines are now being required to check the no-fly list every 2 hours. Do you believe that's enough? Will that solve the problem that allowed this man to get on the plane?
Well, I would even prefer if it were sooner. And I think at some point the government is in fact going to take over the international no-fly list in about a year. I think that time ought to be moved up, and then it becomes a strict governmental responsibility. I think that's one reform that can easily be made.
Can it realistically be moved up, and how do we go about that?
Well, I have to find that out. TSA is doing the domestic part of it, and they would be taking over the international part. The question comes, if an airline doesn't do X, what happens? And therefore there is, I think, a greater responsibility for the government to check the no-fly list. This is not an easy thing, because I think we're now finding that there is a new prototype of this kind of terrorist. And this man, in fact, is a citizen. He's been in the United States for a long time. He's made a number of trips to Pakistan back and forth. And there are about 180,000 people a year going to Pakistan, 160,000 coming back. That's a lot of people to set up an improved screening system. But I think this is one of the things that has to happen, because if we're going to prevent these attacks, we have to have a better screening of individuals who are likely suspects. And that's a very tall order.
What about terror suspects, innocent or guilty? Should they, as Senators Joe Lieberman and Scott Brown have suggested, be stripped of their American citizenship? Do you think that would help?
Well, Senator Lieberman proposed this once before. I took a look at it then. Last night I read my analysis, and my analysis was that it would not stand a constitutional test based on law made by the Supreme Court. I haven't seen the latest draft and don't know whether it's changed, so I really can't say. But I do think that the important thing that we can do is see that we are as facile and flexible as we can, that the screening is as prudent as strong as it can be.
And what about Senator?
One thing,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, one thing I do know is that the people in the 16 intelligence agencies are working their heart out to try to protect this country and see that intelligence is well analyzed and gets to the right source who can do something about it. And I think we've made great strides there. Now, a lot of people are carping and saying, oh, well, we just lucked out here. I think we did luck out in that the bomb didn't explode. But the forensic work, the work that was done to sort of make the suspect within a very short period of time, the interrogation has gone very well. A lot of information has been gained. And really the full assets of the federal government were brought to bear once they saw that this, in fact, was a real device.
I'd like to ask you for a yes or no answer, if I may. If this suspect does, in fact, turn out to have ties to the Pakistani Taliban, are we equipped in this country to handle this new kind of threat?
Well, we are equipped to handle it if we can improve our screening process. Now, you've had you've had some very good cases. You've had the Zazi case, who was tracked for 6 months, who had a conspiracy going, who was going to attack New York City, who was followed and arrested, and the attack was prevented. So I think we can do it.
Senator Diane Feinstein, we certainly hope so. Thank you so much.
A lot happens early on The Early Show, weekday mornings on CBS.